We welcome you back to CBS Mornings in our old studio. For most of this country's history, homosexuals were not allowed to serve in the military. Service members found to be gay were discharged, often less than honorably. That was a black mark that affected their future benefits and their job opportunities, too. Still, there are an estimated 1 million LGBTQ veterans in this country, and we don't know how many were forced out of the military before and after that don't ask, don't tell policy. CBS News chief investigative correspondent, that's Jim Axelrod, spoke with veterans who spent years trying to regain their honor and claim those benefits. Jim, good morning to you.
Well, good morning. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was born of a compromise when Bill Clinton's promise to normalize gays and lesbians serving openly in the military ran headlong into pushback at the Pentagon. Then Barack Obama said, "We can do better." Well, that was more than a dozen years ago, and thousands of gay veterans still haven't had the discrimination they suffered addressed.
The standing ovation in 2010 celebrated noble ideals.
No longer will tens of thousands of Americans in uniform be asked to live a lie.
As President Obama repealed the policy that had kept gay and lesbian service members closeted and fearful for nearly 18 years.
If you put your hand on your hip, if you sit with your legs crossed, like it was always like the witch hunt was always around no matter what during those times in the military.
Which explains why vets like Donnie Ray Allen, a former Marine, and Amy Lom, who served in the Navy, were skeptical anything would change. Both had been kicked out of the military for don't ask, don't tell violations with less than honorable discharges.
Did it change your sense of self?
Yes, I'm less than.
Less than.
Yeah, I'm less than honorable.
For Amy and Donnie Ray and many other LGBTQ vets, that meant losing access to the full spectrum of benefits veterans get when honorably discharged, from VA loans to tuition assistance to health care and many federal jobs.
It's a dark
It's a very dark place.
Was any thought given to how we're going to deal with the people who have suffered?
To be frank, the focus was on the future.
Leon Panetta was the Secretary of Defense who oversaw the repeal almost a dozen years ago.
There wasn't a lot of thought about, the people who'd been discharged, who'd gone through hell on this issue, about what do we do about them? And in some ways, I regret that.
The best estimates are that 14,000 service members were discharged under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Homophobia had chased out many more well before. But the most recent data shows just a little over 1,200 have had this injustice addressed.
Which means the overwhelming number of people who were less than honorably discharged for their sexuality still have not had their discharges upgraded.
It's like everything else when it comes to civil rights. In order to be able to move forward and embrace the future, you can't just push the past aside.
Tell that to Andrew Espinosa, who's not just less than in the eyes of the military. He doesn't exist at all.
All right, so this one I was in training still.
He was a proud Air Force aviator in the late 80s and early 90s, flying 21 combat missions as a navigator. But in May of 1993, a few months before Don't Ask, Don't Tell was implemented, but in the middle of a debate raging about whether gay people could serve,
I don't have anything against gays, but I don't think there's a place in the military.
Andrew Espinosa's life changed forever.
And they said, well, there's an accusation that there was someone in your room and that you put your hand on his knee and kissed him on the cheek. Just the accusation itself set these wheels in motion that never stopped.
The allegation of a kiss on the cheek turned into an indictment for indecent assault and threats from the Air Force.
Or we're bringing you to court-martial. And it's not going to be anything to do with sexuality, that you are going to be charged with indecent assault, which is a federal felony.
Despite the Air Force admitting homosexuality was a factor in his case, in a letter to Espinosa's mother, he was court-martialed and dishonorably discharged. Captain Espinosa had no health care and no benefits. He couldn't even get hired as a census taker.
Is it a stretch in the early 90s to say that what the Air Force was doing wasn't about indecent assault? It was about criminalizing this guy's sexuality.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody said, well, let's use that as the excuse.
Veterans like Amy and Donnie Ray have gone through official channels to get the discharge upgrades they need to access the benefits they've earned. But it's been a long and often soul-crushing road.
When did you first attempt to get your discharge upgraded?
Shoot, back in like 2013 or so.
And nothing.
Yeah, and it just stalled. I mean, there didn't feel like there was any hope for anything.
And while just 2 weeks ago, Donnie Ray finally got his upgrade,
Even saying it, like, I can't stop smiling because I'm just like, wow, like it actually happened.
Andrew Espinosa has given up.
I'm just like, okay, we're done. We're done. I'm not going to go beg.
And for Leon Panetta, that's a grievous wrong that urgently needs to be made right.
In order to be true to what we tried to do by getting rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, it's not just about the future, it's also about making sure that we correct the past.
In a statement to CBS News, the Pentagon said it has conducted several outreach campaigns for veterans who think they were wrongly discharged, but acknowledged it has, quote, more work to do. The Department of Defense also said it has tried hard to mitigate delays and is still striving to finalize cases within 10 months.
I think it's good to hear Leon Panetta say he has some regrets about how it was handled and to say you can't push the past aside. That applies to many, many things in life. But we saw what happened to Donnie Ray. What about the other two veterans?
All right, so we asked about Amy Lon. The Navy
Yes.
said can't talk about it, privacy concerns. I want to make a few points about Andrew Espinosa. The Air Force says that it continues to stand by its decision to deny the discharge upgrade request, but that he can reapply if new evidence is discovered. But I want to be crystal clear about one thing. Andrew has always maintained his innocence, says the incident in question never happened.
Never happened. Wow. I'm hoping that this story will make a difference for both of them. For both of them. It's 2023.
To
y'all.
hear Leon Panetta, that's encouraging, that kind of candor, but that's just a step.
Yeah.
This justice has been elusive.
Yeah.
For a long time.
A long time. Too long.
Thank you.